Members, the question is the report of the Education and Science Committee on the 2009-10 financial review of the Ministry of Research, Science and Technology be noted. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. The contrary opinion will say no. The ayes have it. The next item that members wish to discuss is under the financial review of the Ministry of Transport. Will members please turn to the Transport and Industrial Relations Committee report. The question is the report on the Transport and Industrial Relations Committee, the 2009-10 financial review of the Ministry of Transport be noted. The question is the report on the Transport and Industrial Relations Committee, the 2009-10 financial review of the Ministry of Transport be noted. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Ministry of Social Development. I understand this is the next debate members wish to have. Will members please turn to the Social Services Committee report. The question is that the report on the Social Services Committee on the 2009-10 financial review of the Ministry of Social Development be noted.
Mr. Chairman.
I call the Honourable Annette King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When you look at the financial review for 2009-10 social development, you need to see it in the context of comments made by the Minister of Finance in December 2008. At that time, having just come into government, Bill English said, quote, "I want to stress that New Zealand starts from a reasonable position in dealing with the uncertainty of our economic outlook. In New Zealand, we have room to respond. This is the rainy day the government is saving up for." And the reason why I raise that is, Mr. Speaker, that in this House, over this last financial year that we're looking at, we have consistently heard the Minister of Finance say the dreadful position that the government inherited when they came to office. You see, they don't quite add up. And I raise it because it is germane to what is happening in social development. If this government wanted to make a priority in social development, particularly for children, they had every ability to do so because the finances of this country were in a reasonable position to be able to face the global recession that this country and other countries in the world face. They have got through them. We now face a double-dip recession, and we say to this government, it is the recession of their own making. But what it means is that for those who are the most vulnerable in New Zealand, for those who need the most help in New Zealand, they are the ones that face the biggest problems and the biggest cuts. And under this minister, there has been very little done to help children in New Zealand. And what is depressing and distressing for me is that I have constantly asked the Minister of Social Development what she has done for children who face abuse and lack of care in this country. And her only answer to me has been the same. Every day I work so hard for them. But every day more children are abused in New Zealand. Every day more children are neglected in New Zealand. Every day we hear of things that are happening in this country to our children that no notice has been taken of except pretty speeches and crafty answers to questions asked in Parliament. And so I say to the Minister, if you don't want to believe the opposition and when they talk about children, maybe you would like to listen to those who provided report for the financial year that we're looking at from the Salvation Army, for example, a report that they called Stalled. And what do they talk about in that report? They said there's been very little meaningful social progress in New Zealand, that there is now greater problems of unaffordable housing, of alcohol-fuelled family violence, child poverty and youth disaffection. They also found that over the last 12 months to September 2010, the average weekly earnings grew by just 0.5%, inflation adjusted or in real terms, and that low-income household consumers price index the Salvation Army has developed found the cost of living had gone up by 4%. So the lowest paid people in New Zealand, including beneficiaries and older people, have seen their cost of living go up, and they have found that their income has not gone up. And so they are facing considerable difficulties. It went on to point out that under this minister, there's been an increase for 40,000 more young people out of work. We now have around 60,000 young people under the age of 25 who are not in work, who are not in training, and who at this stage feel they have got no hope. That is what the Salvation Army pointed out. Then if the minister still doesn't want to believe what I'm saying, perhaps you believe what the Salvation Army is saying on child poverty. You see, they are at the pointy edge of social service delivery. They are there every day, out in the community, providing services. And it's all very well for the government to praise them when they're on the streets and helping people when there's an earthquake. Why not listen to them when they're telling this government that in New Zealand that child poverty rates have increased over the last 18 months, particularly in single-parent families? This minister, I have to say, has done very little for children in this country.
Mr. Chair.
A call.